More NASCAR content? For all the latest in NASCAR, including driver interviews, race recaps, fantasy NASCAR, listener call-in shows, and awesome giveaways, tune in to the Lap Traffic Podcast on iTunes, Podbean, or your favorite hosting site with new shows every Tuesday night. Check out Lap Traffic on the web, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, and follow on Twitter @LapTrafficPC. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker, the future is feeling.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Full Send Racing Series. Tonight, it's the end of the round at 12 in the playoffs, as we're going to find out that of 8 drivers that move on to that of the next round. We're starting a little bit there of late, but tonight's race is going to be the Ford Lover 190 here at Michigan to finish out this round at 12. Last week at New Hampshire, drivers had a lot to handle with, but one driver is already locked into next round. That is Cameron Sarton, the 2-time champ, trying to go for his 3rd trophy here in this series. So a lot of other drivers have had some ups and downs. We'll talk more about where the drivers stand points-wise, as qualifying is already over, and taking the top of the board with the pole, it's John Dart in the 13. Chris Ditz, who had a great run last week, is going to be starting in 2nd. Joshua Altus going to be in 3rd, with Cole Sacchetti in 4th. Aaron Hale going to be up to 5th, with Nick Holland 6th. 7th goes to Ken Campbell. 8th, Christopher Wade. Andrew Medlin going to be starting in 9th, with Philip Chavez finishing out that of the top 10.
11th will be Daniel Keith Jr., Travis Dart will roll off 12th, Ross Tatum in 13th, Will Bustler 14th, Ryan Lynch in 15th, Rob Sherwood 16th, Sam Siegels in 17th, Chris Hugel 18th, and 19th and 20th will be Doug Pierce and Zach Hall.
Zach Hall going to be starting those that decided not to go put a time in, with Cameron Sarton as well as Brian Burchett finishing out our 22 drivers racing here tonight. Well, last week got to have the race at New Hampshire, short track racing at the mile course. Again, Cameron Sarton found himself in victory lane, but a couple of low moments for playoff drivers. Will Bustler caught up in an early wreck. He finished last in 18th last week. Ken Campbell caught up in a late wreck. He finished 15th. A lot of low numbers for those drivers, as they're going to be starting in the bubble spots outside of our top 8 in points. But a driver that completely missed last week's show, Andrew Medlin, he shows up here tonight starting 9th, but he's going to be 11th in points, 9 points out from our bubble spot, which is going to be that of Nick Holland, who does not have a lot of points to work with here, Trevor. Only 1 point advantage over that of Christopher Wade. That's the battle for the bubble, as drivers that are inside: Aaron Hale, Joshua Altus, Chris Ditz, Ross Tatum, Rob Sherwood, Cole Sacchetti, pretty much in pretty solidified positions. If they get a good stage run, Cameron Sarton, the only driver that's already locked in to that of the next round.
Yeah, stage points are going to be really important here. 30 laps is going to be the stage break, and with Holland being +1, Christopher Wade -1, Campbell -6, and Medlin -9, those drivers are going to have to fight for all the playoff points or all the stage points they can get. Will Bustler -15, looking like he might need a win to get into the next round. We're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen here tonight at Michigan as the pace car's pulling off.
Ace cars ready to pull off. 95 laps in total. Stage break at lap 30. And we've got ourselves 22 drivers out there on track into the restart zone. And we are green for the Ford Lovers 190 here at Michigan, as Chris Ditz gets a great launch. The rest of the field side by side heading down into turn number 1.
Stitz doing a great job on that outside line, hanging strong to the outside of John Dart as they head into 1. Altus right there on the back bumper of the 13 machine. Stitz is going to try to get that run off the top line, see if he can clear the 13 down the back straightaway. It looks like he's got momentum The 42 of Sacchetti following in behind the 94. It looks like Dart's going to get up in front of the 94, hold on to the second position.
Get in line as quick as possible. Get that draft so you can have these pushes. As for second place side-by-side action, Joshua Altus trying to get by that at 13 of John Dart. Dart just not able to hold on. And this is fantastic for the 22 of Chris Stitz. Needing these bonus points and across the line. Give him that lap lead for the 22 as the rest of the field still side-by-side. Michigan, a track that is 2 miles in length, gives you super speedway tendencies of pack racing, and as well, drivers been giving notes. The tire wear going to be quite aggressive. Drivers not able to save their tires, so you've got to make moves early.
Got to get moves done early. Got to get that track position as much as you can. Here's Aaron Hales now going to try to take a look to the inside of the 13 of John Dart. Our pulse that are kind of falling, fading back here in the early run. The 4 gets a good run through the center of turn number 3. He's going to slide up in front of the 13. That's going to allow the 15 now of Ken Campbell to get to the inside of John Dart. But Cole Sacchetti, been the biggest loser here, got kind of hung out on the outside line, been kind of pinched, hasn't been able to make any ground on that 42, still going backwards.
They're almost going to be 3 wide with the 12 of Andrew Medlin missing last week, and now going to be showing up, needing a miracle run. Got provisional points. That's why the 12 didn't go completely out of seeing himself of points and needing a must-win scenario for the 12 machine. But Joshua Altus in this 94 had a decent run. Overall, looking for a win. It'd be great for himself. But Ken Campbell, a driver of the 15 machine, Trevor, we saw last week, really had a decent run until late in the race where he found himself having his engine blown up.
Campbell had an up and down week last week in New Hampshire. Really got used and abused there for a little while in the middle portion of that race, then kind of settled into into a rhythm, and then just had a misfortune on a shift and blew the motor up and fell all the way back down to, I believe, 17th or 18th finishing position there. So looking for a good run here tonight, and so far up to 4th position for the 15 cars. The 13 of John Dart gets into the outside wall in the backstretch, and that's going to cost him a lot of momentum as we see several cars go by him.
He just saw a lot of movement in front of him. That of Nick Holland, able to make the pass, and the 13 just got that dirty air, pushed the 13 up to the outside wall. It just grabbed him and never let go. And now going to be seeing the 13 dropping from our pole position back to 12th place. But up front, it's playoff contenders, left, right, and center, all trying to keep themselves in those lead spots, recognizing our stage break at lap 30. Major points that can be grabbed, and points that's either going to lock you into the Elite 8 or could bounce you out and force you to have a good finish at the end of the day, as more drivers having troubles in the back half of the field as the 30 machine of Charles Hugel gets into the back wall. But up front, watching the 12, Andrew Medlin getting aggressive, but we take a look here at the 30. A couple of drivers already early on getting to the outside wall. Trevor, that's a factor you got to watch out for. It's the 5 of Zach Hall now going to be moving his way up to 16.
Yeah, getting to that outside wall is really going to hurt the aerodynamics of these cars, and the aerodynamics are going to be really important here at Michigan. And with having no quick repair, that's damage that you're going to have to get fixed and have to live with for the rest of the race. So getting on the wall this early, lap 4, I believe, for John Dart, laps 5 here for Hugel. That's really going to hurt them for the rest of not only this run, but probably later on into next run.
Trying to keep yourself out of trouble is going to be the name of the game still early on in this race. Thank you for joining us on a Tuesday night here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart. Also have Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background as lap 7 begins. Chris Stitz has led every single lap so far. As you see Zach Hall trying to get down below, passing our pole sitter of John Dart. That damage on the right side, just too much to handle, and just easily breezing by. But up front, the battle for the lead starting to heat up. Here comes Joshua Altus closing in on the 22.
Yeah, Altus, the winner at the sister track at the start of the season, won at Auto Club on, I believe, a fuel mileage strategy in the 94 machine, but had pace there. And really showing it here tonight as he gets a good run through the center of turn number 4. Off corner exit, he's going to try to pull alongside the 22 of Stitz here, not really utilizing the side draft, giving each other plenty of room. But that 94 Sam looking quick here early on as he tries to get this pass down going into turn number 1.
Here we go. Can it be a slide job move? Going to be keeping him that 94 in the center of the corner, pushing up the 22 of Chris Stitz. Stitz has the pinch down in the center of the corner to make sure he doesn't get into that rough stuff on the outer lane. But gonna be getting the better exit is the 94. Not traditionally seeing that inside lane get a better run, but because of how much Altus pushed up the 22 in the center of the corner, that's what's helping Altus right now. Almost completely clear now of the 22 as he brushes up and takes the lead.
A great pass right there, slid right up in front of the 22 of Stitz, but Stitz going to go for the crossover move here down the front straightaway, try to utilize a little bit of side draft to see if he can get some of that momentum killed from the 94. He's going to dive it down here into turn 1, see if he can pull off the same move that Altus pulled off on him, but takes it really low compared to what Altus was running, and it looks like he's going to get a better run off the corner and defend that position.
And the reason why we're seeing the 94 push as aggressive as he can at this current moment, wants to be the leader, wants to maximize at the stage point, comes in that of 6th in all of our playoff top 12, and only has 12 points of advantage. So if a poor stage run comes to the 94, and you see that if Christopher Wade, Ken Campbell, Andrew Medlin, or Will Bustler get more points than the 94, that could put a little bit more pressure on a better finish at the end. But those group of drivers I was just talking about, they're all mired here. They're all inside of the top 10 and clustered up, racing hard to get inside of the top 5.
That's right here with Aaron Hale leading this train. It's Aaron Hale, Medlin, Campbell, Holland, Sacchetti, Wade, all on top of one another. Cole Sacchetti trying to get to the inside there of the 68 of Nick Holland. Didn't quite have the momentum off the turn number 2. Going to have to duck back in line with Nick Holland. Got to be looking in his mirror right there. The 53 machine of Christopher Wade is lurking. 1 point separates those two drivers. That is the cutoff line, the 68 to 53. And if you're Christopher Wade, you got to get up there and get ahead of Nick Holland before the end of the stage.
Nick Holland, I mean, what a run he had last week at New Hampshire. He looked very strong in the early portions, got some good stage points, finished strong at the end of the day, had a couple of rough passions of getting some damage nicked here or there, but honestly, gotta say, after a decent run for Nick Holland, he's got to figure out how to stay consistent here tonight. Only having a 1 point advantage over that of Christopher Wade, who's just 2 spots behind the 68 machine, and only that a 6 point advantage over that of Ken Campbell. Right now, Nick Holland must finish close to that top 5, right where he's running right now, if he wants to move on to that next round.
Yeah, right now he's got Andrew Medlin 2 cars in front of him, Kim Campbell 1 car in front of him, and it's 9 points to Medlin that he's got a gap on, 6 points, like you said, to Kim Campbell. And so for Holland, he's just got to stay with these guys. Almost gave a little bit of a shot there to that of Kim Campbell heading into turn number 1. Almost got caught up with Cole Sacchetti there as the checkup kind of happened, but keeps it straight, keeps it in line. But Nick Holland just needs to stay up there on these long runs. We've seen him kind of fade on the long runs the last couple of races. So for Holland, it's take care of the tires as much as you can and stay with these guys before the stage ends.
And as we are 12 laps in, closing in on halfway of our stage 1 break, as that is at the end of lap 30 for these drivers. Top 10 drivers looking for bonus points. But Trevor, we're here at Michigan. You talked about how this is the sister track to Auto Club, but we saw earlier in the season. But what are the major difference from this track compared to Auto Club or even other super speedway tracks that we've seen so far this season?
So Michigan races like a super speedway along with Auto Club. The draft is really important. But unlike your traditional super speedways like Daytona, Talladega, the tire wear here is what really changes it compared to those two tracks. We'll see later in these runs, especially toward the end of the stage and late into the next run, is if we don't get a caution, the tire wear is going to separate these drivers out. So at the beginning of the race, we're going to see everybody on top of one another fighting for those positions, trying to get as much as they can before the tire wear kicks in and makes it hard to get these passes done. And once it gets late in the run, it's going to be all about the momentum. Who can carry the momentum off the corner exit down the straightaways? That's going to help set up passes for these guys late in the runs.
As right now, inside of our top 5, all drivers that have found their ways to go forward. Leader Joshua Altus up 2 position. Chris Ditz, the only driver that has not moved up or down any positions. Aaron Hale in 3rd place is up 2 positions for himself. 4th place, our biggest mover so far of those inside of our top 10. Andrew Medlin up 5 spots. Up 2 is Ken Campbell. And then you start to see drivers that backed off, trying to save their tires, but seeing no true advantage. That of Cole Sacchetti in 6th, down 2 positions. Down 1 is Nick Holland. Christopher Wade just sitting in a simple spot of 8th position. Hasn't moved up, haven't gone down. And then you got Philip Chavez here in 9th place. He's gone up to 1 position, but this is one of the better runs we've seen from the 101. These bigger tracks always seem to be the better place where we see Philip Chavez just have his decent run. Same for that of Travis Dart, who's back in 10th place. Good run, but it's Ross Tatum as well as going to be that of Robert Sherwood. They're trying to find their way to go forward because they're losing touch to this lead pack.
Yeah, and if you lose touch with those leaders, it's going to be really hard to catch them as they have the advantage of the draft of one another, whereas these guys fight to stay in that, kind of draft bubble. But as they try to battle one another and get these passes done, it's going to slow them both down. But it looks like the 11 there of Ross Tatum. Going to get that pass done on the 6 of Travis Dart. Now set his sights on the 101 of Chavez, but move Ross Tatum up into the top 10. He's going to be the bubble driver for stage points right now.
As we are now halfway through the run, this is a pack of drivers I'm most curious about, and that is Will Bustler, Cameron Sarton running 15th and 16th. Cameron Sarton's locked into the next round. No worry for the 24 black and white machine, but it's that of the green and black, that of Will Bustler in 15th position. Where he's running right now, he will get no bonus points at this current moment, and in some major trouble to find himself being bounced out and forced into a must-win scenario. It's got to be a troublesome spot for himself. And speaking of trouble, inside of our top 5, we're starting to see some trouble ramp up. Drivers trying to make some move. Ken Campbell to the outside, almost to the outside wall. And you've also got that of Andrew Medlin and that of Cole Sacchetti. On the move is the 42.
Sacchetti been slowly picking off these guys. This has been working that bottom really well. Medlin got really loose out of turn number 2. Checked up the 68 of Nick Holland and the 53 of Bustler. Looks like Medlin really starting to struggle with a little bit of a tight sensation on the corner there as he gets a pretty bad run compared to Nick Holland. Holland's going to take it to the inside here down the front stretch as the battle in front of them still continues with Cole Sacchetti and Ken Campbell in the 15. It looks like Sacchetti going to really dive it in, drift up, contact made with him in the 15, and the 15's in the wall.
Oh, Ken Campbell, no! Kibben's caught up in a wreck last week, and now a hard dive move by that of Cole Sacchetti, wiping out the 15, and that could be the hopes of a playoff berth continuing on as Ken Campbell completely wrecked. Doesn't have a required damage flag, but the whole entire rear end looks completely ripped apart. As we take another look at it, you got to see it live. That of Cole Sacchetti goes down low, thinking he's got enough grip to hold that line, but completely just body slams the 15. And that is the same bullying woes from last week. Ken Campbell just can't get away from being smacked around.
It was almost identical to what happened to Ken all last week, was drivers to his inside getting tight, drifting up into him. Looks like Cole maybe went for the slide job, didn't expect Ken to get such a great run on the outside line, and when he slid into the door of the 15 and sent Campbell into the outside wall, and like you said, heavy damage to the rear bumper of that car. Thankfully, it looks like the front end not been up at all, and if he's still got a little bit of motor left, hopefully he can get that spoiler straightened out a little bit and won't hurt him too bad. But that looks like a lot of damage, Sam, for the 15 machine, who came in 6 points outside of our top 8
and was having such a good run, was ahead of Nick Holland, was going to make that even a smaller distance to work with at our stage break, but we are still not there yet. First caution of the night at lap 18. The field is clustered up, and here comes your first decisions. Does pit road become an option? Especially if you're looking for major stage points, you might want to come in. You've got 3 sets of tires to work with here tonight, and someone could be thinking about utilizing it, as here comes the dive to pit road, being led by Chris Stitz.
It looks like Stitz, Wade, Sacchetti, Medlin, Travis Dart, John Dart, all coming down pit road, and good call there from, I believe, from Andrew Medlin to come down, get those fresh tires, try to see if he can drive back through these guys, maximize the stage points that he can get, only being 9 points out. I think this is a good call from the 12 machine.
I'm absolutely shocked by some of the drivers that did not decide to come in. You've got Nick Holland, who didn't come in. Christopher Wade didn't come into pit road. And the biggest surprise of them all, Will Bustler deciding to stay out. This 36 better feel like he's saved enough tires to make some big moves go forward, because that with everyone coming in, taking 4 tires on fuel, they're going to be flying majorly quick compared to what the other drivers have been running, because our leaders, they were running almost about a full second slower than their best time that they put down, just showing those that just got tires, they're going to be flying once we get back to green flag racing.
Yeah, I think for those guys, especially close to the cutoff line, the Holland, Wade, Bustler, I mean, it's just such a risky call to stay out there knowing that these guys that come down pit road are going to be so much faster than you, maybe banking on the fact that it's going to be hard for them to get through traffic. But Medlin comes out in 13th, Sam. He's only 3 positions behind Bustler for those stage points. So I don't think the gap between them is going to be big enough to really hold off the 12 machine.
No, I don't see it holding off the 12. I think everyone that just came in, very likely they're going to be finding themselves, even those that are just got damage repair, expecting them, if they took tires, they're going to be up front. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 drivers that all just got to fresh rubber. That could bounce everyone that thought they were going to get bonus points out of an option of that. if they can get some good launches. But again, they're of those 10 that just got some fresh rubber, about 6 of them did have some type of damage repair to deal with, and Ken Campbell, one of those 10 that just came into pit road. And re-looking at the 15 machine, he's got some major damage on the right side. It's got crinkleness on the front of that front bumper as well. I don't know if Ken Campbell's really going to have true speed to worry about with the rest of the field, but certainly questions on who could be trying to bounce out Nick Holland, who did not decide to come into pit road. And you look at those that did, as we take a look at the damage the 15 has grabbed, that is some major damage he is dealing with.
Yeah, the rear end damage, didn't get it as straight as maybe he was hoping. Not as bad as it was before he came down pit road, but that damage to the rear bumper definitely going to hurt him with the spoiler being crinkled up. The right side of that car is crinkled up, so definitely going to be some aerodynamic pain for Ken Campbell in the 15 for the remainder of this race. Now just hoping that some of these other playoff drivers near the bubble get into some or come into some misfortune to maybe help him sneak his way into the playoffs. But the man to watch here on this restart is going to be that 12 machine of Andrew Medlin, the 42 of Cole Sacchetti, the first 2 on fresh tires, along with the 22 of Stitz, who was really quick in the opening couple of laps. So watching these 3 come through the field on these fresh tires is going to be really interesting to see as we get ready for the restart.
Also, that of Brian Burchett going to be another driver of how well will they go through. As you see the flag switch, it's time to get back to green flag racing for the Ford lovers. 190 for this of the Full Send Racing Series, the cutoff race of the round at 12. We're back to green flag racing as a little bit of wheel spin's going to be happening on the inside lane. That's the 68 machine of Nick Holland. But we have got 10 laps, make it 9 to take us to the end of the stage. At end of that, our stage break is the end of lap 30. And already Joshua Alt is trying to break away from the rest of the field as Andrew Medlin's already passed 2 drivers, about to make it 3 for himself.
And the fresh tires really able to hold the bottom line, carry the momentum off the corner. And now battling the 24 of Cameron Sarton. This is going to be a battle for 9th position. Medlin already up 3 spots off the restart just through turn number 1 and 2. We're going to dive it all the way down to the bottom here, clear the 24. But he's got Zach Hall in the 5 right in front of him, holding him up. He's got the 22 there of Stitz behind him. Stitz is going to take it to the outside. The 5 is going to be there. He's going to block in the 22 machine down the front stretch.
It's looking like drivers speeding through rush hour traffic with the way that they are just able to fly through the center of the corner. This is where that fresh rubber just has a major advantage on how much more speed you can carry through the corner. And let's go 3 wide. It's a 12. Holds that yellow line. The fresh rubber is great to see. And a little bit of a bump there to the 2 as they're 3 wide, making almost 4 wide as Chris Stitz comes below the white line to go 4 wide. The 22 trying to be the advancer of the fresh rubber. Now going to be seeing themselves 3 wide, make it 2 wide. As it is dueling through the traffic of the 12 and the 22.
I mean, Stitz got such a great run through the center of turn number 2, made it 4 wide down the backstretch, went all the way below the white line to give everybody room. But Medlin, with the power move through turn number 3, keeps the 12 car ahead of the 22. As now they go battle 3 wide down into turn number 1. With the 11 of Tatum, the 68 of Nick Holland, and move Medlin up now. That puts him up to 5th position. Stitz is going to try to go to the bottom and get the run off the corner on the 68. He's going to be side by side with Medlin down the backstretch as Holland just has nothing he can do but push the 12 car.
And that push could be an advantage, but at the same time, it's still going to be a little bit of side-by-side. Chris Stitz is on that inner groove, trying to find that momentum, finding the stickers as they're coming up to more traffic that's slower than them. Stitz pushing up, pushing the 12 into traffic, and they're going to go 3 wide, trying to give each other space as the 22 does not want to go on the apron, and they're squeezing, they're passing, and now going to be side-by-side for second place. It's 3 wide, but on the exit of turn 2, watch out, they're going to be battling now for the lead for themselves. Altis trying to give as much space as he can, but right behind these two that are battling for the lead now with fresh rubber, it's Cole Sacchetti that's about to be flying through this group.
Sacchetti now just has to get through Wade, Hale, and that of Altis here down into turn number 3 is the battle for the lead still side by side between Stitz and Medlin. Medlin going to try to make that Stitz going to make that bottom line work for him. He's going to clear the 12. As I say that, Sacchetti clears everybody else behind him, so moves Sacchetti up to 3rd. Our top 3 now on fresh rubbers, Aaron Hale through all that, able to get around Joshua Altis to be the first car on the old tires as they battle for 4th place behind Cole Sacchetti.
but with how aggressive they were pushing through the traffic, how much of that tire rubber was being utilized, as there's still drivers with fresh rubber trying to go through the field. That of Brian Burchett going to be mired back in 7th place. He's trying to figure out how to get through this group. That a whole bunch of bobbling just happened there with the 4 and the 94. They're going to be side by side as those drivers on the old tires battling for 4th and 5th. Well, soon to be 6th and 7th, as here comes that of Brian Burchett on the inside. Fresh rubber is going to be working for himself, and watch out also for the 9 to Travis Dart. Fresh rubber going forward for themselves on the inner groove. And just like that, 4 to go before this stage is done. The drama certainly spurred up in those last couple of laps.
And this is what Medlin needed. Came in -9 behind Holland. Holland right now all the way down in 9th place all the way down in 9th, with just 1 position to the good, or 2 positions to the good on the stage points. And with Medlin up in 2nd, needs to hold off the 42 of Sacchetti or get back by Stitz to maximize his stage points. The 13 or the 12, Sam, looking pretty good on that strategy call right here.
Yeah, and this is the battling that's going on for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. These drivers came into pit road at our last caution, took the tires, now are going to be dueling to see who can maximize on their points. Chris Stitz came in tonight, 25-point advantage for himself. Cole Sacchetti came in with a 37-point advantage. They really just needed some good stage points to make sure that they're locked in and they don't have to worry about anyone else bouncing them out, even if you see an outside driver win. As Andrew Medlin, he's just trying to close in the gap as close as he can to Nick Holland on points, but losing these 2 positions could be massive for the 12. Every point so crucial to make sure that Andrew Medlin, he missed out on last week, got provisional points, but tonight is the night to see if he can move on to the round of 8.
2 laps to go here before the stage break. Medlin right now getting those 8 bonus points, trying to make it 9 bonus points as he's battling with Sacchetti here for 2nd place. As Stitz just driving away from these 2 as they continue to battle. Medlin trying to maximize everything he can in that 12 machine, just not able to get that car to stick on the bottom line. Gonna have to fall back in behind the 42. The good news for him, Holland still down in 8th position, actually gained 1 spot over Christopher Wade. So with Medlin being up in 3rd, I think he's going to be really close to the 68 machine if they finish where they are in the stage here.
It is going to be just 1 or 2 points advantage or disadvantage, as that of Christopher Wade, if he had actually gotten that 1 point, could have been tied with Nick Holland coming in after this run, but now going to be in a spot where he could be 2 points out and tied with Andrew Medlin with the way that these drivers are running. So crucial, all the points that are being trying to be grabbed, as up front it is just that of Chris Stitz, Cole Sacchetti, and Andrew Medlin in line and feeling good coming into turn number 3, but some of the battles that are happening for position in this current moment could be for 9th and 10th between Christopher Wade and Ross Tatum, but up front, the 22 of Chris Stitz, feeling good, confident, out of turn number 4. He's going to find himself getting that lead and also winning the stage as they come across the line. Waiting for 10th place, Ross didn't cross that line. He will do so now, as that will be your stage here for the Ford Lovers 190. And, whoo, Trevor, that's just 31 laps of 95 here tonight.
Yeah, we still got a lot of laps left, and that excitement level and aggression level ramped up right there with that caution in the stage. Really shook up the strategy there, and great strategy call from the 22 of Stitz, Sacchetti, Medlin, and Travis Dart. I mean, all coming down and taking those tires, getting those stage points, especially for Andrew Medlin, trying to close that gap to Nick Holland. But great job by Nick Holland on those old tires, holding on, still getting stage points down there in 8th position. He's going to hold on to, I believe, what is going to be the cut line in 8th position points based off of just the stage points.
Yeah, stage points were great to be grabbed by Nick Holland. He was in a questionable spot, especially with the damage that other drivers came into pit road to get served and get tires, but it worked out for the 98, for that of the 68 to stay on that of our top 10. Gets those stage points, as the drivers that are getting stage points here this evening going to be your top 10. First place going to go to our stage winner of Chris Stitz. Cole Sachetti's going to get 2nd. Andrew Medlin gets 3rd. Travis Dart in 4th, with Aaron Hale in 5th, as well as Brian Burchett 6th place. Joshua Altus in 7th. Nick Holland 8th. 9th goes to Christopher Wade. Getting that 1 and final bonus point goes to Ross Tatum in the 11. Thank you for joining us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting as you are watching the Full Send Racing Series, the round of 12, the cutoff race. We'll be back in just a few. And we are back to Green Flag Racing here for the Ford Lovers 190 for the Full Send Racing Series, the cutoff race of the round at 12. And it's going to be Chris Stitz, Andrew Medlin, Cole Sacchetti, as well as going to be seeing a Madhouse behind them, all heading through turns 1 and 2 as you're watching all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart. We also got Rob Moyer running productions in the background as the drivers ramping it up, as we've got ourselves over that of 60 laps still to go until this race is done and we figure out who's in the Elite 8. But going through the corners, Chris Stitz feeling good for himself. But Trevor, one driver is out of the race already.
Yeah, Robert Sherwood with some internet issues going to knock the 2 machine out of the race, and hopefully he can get back in and just kind of run around and finish the race. But Sherwood should be good on points as he just got word that he reconnected to the server. But a little bit of maybe a slight heart skip there for the 2 machine as his internet went out. But I think we do believe that Sherwood should be good on the points.
Yeah, we believe he should be good. Compared to himself and Nick Holland, there's about a 30-point gap between themselves. That's accounting for the stage points that just were put in. With that 68, got himself 3 bonus points. So, and we only had 22 drivers show up here tonight. So that of Sherwood should be good technically based off our rough estimates, but still, you never know what could happen here tonight. We've got a lot of drivers that are trying to show up, and that 12 of Andrew Medlin sees second place currently. He's the one that I'm curious on how well he's going to run through this race, but you already got a couple of big movers of the night. The 33 of Brian Burchett, biggest mover, up 14 positions, as well as that of Cameron Sarton, up 11 spots, and Zach Hall up 9. Those are the drivers that started deeper in the field, and all 3 of them, almost all of them, inside of our top 10.
Yeah, Medlin, after winning last week, choosing not to qualify here, just kind of running in the back, taking care of his equipment. Zach Hall not running for the championship or anything, just running out for wins. Doesn't feel like he wants to get involved in the playoff, battle. Just decided to start in the back, but slowly moving his way up. And right behind him, the 36 of Will Bustler, who needs a win after the stage break. That 36 machine going to need a win. He's got to find a way to move up through the field if he wants to have any shot at moving into the round of 8.
He just did not get any stage points, came in 15 points out, and with the loss of ground with those 3 points, technically he's 18 points out. So technically he could point his way in, but he needs a lot of circumstances to line up if he's going to point his way in. The absolute is just win this race for the 36. And right behind Will Bustler, you got that of Ken Campbell, caught up in one of our early cautions here. And this 15, our one and only yellow, but I take it back. Chris Stitz, a big one up front. A lot of our playoff contenders caught up in a big wreck, and Chris Stitz was up front leading that charge.
Not sure what happened. Maybe contact with the 94 of Altus, but Medlin's got damage. Sacchetti's got damage. And for the 12 machine, that's not what he needed. Got those stage points, was only 4 points behind Nick Holland after the stage break. So we'll have to go back and see what happened here, Sam.
And it looked to be automatically over the radio apologetic was the 94 of that of Joshua Altus. And here's the reason why. Entry into turn number 1, just completely different let-off zones. The 94 much more aggressive, with a 22 let off immediately, gets the tap. But this is when all the madhouse begins, because the 94 gets a little bit of contact here, but it's the 12, the 42 that take the brunt of it. A huge T-bone by the 12. The 42 just nowhere to go. They completely pancake that of the 12 machine. No front bumper, no rear bumper. And then here comes the Taco Bell machine that comes in with the scrape late of Nick Holland. Altus comes down back into the 12, and it's just Andrew Medlin. He was going for heroic charge, and now with one of the most destructed cars here tonight.
And Medlin was looking so good, but no front bumper on that 12 machine. And Sam, I think that's going to be it for him. Stitz, fastest car, was looking good. He's got a ton of damage. Altus equally as fast as the 22's got big damage. Sacchetti also with big damage. Nick Holland with a little bit of right side damage as he got caught up in that. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here with our points. This might make Nick Holland, this could be good for Nick Holland, but Christopher Wade, I believe, got through that as well. And Aaron Hale, I think, is going to come out the biggest winner out of all this, is the 4 scrape by with no damage.
But that of the 68 did grab some damage on his front right, I believe, and that is a crucial place to begin some type of damage. That could really start to tighten up a machine that's already extremely tight on the long run. And Nick Holland is heading to pit road for damage repair, as well as a good amount of drivers in this field, all having to get some type of damage. Rob Sherwood actually just gets reconnected, so the 2 machine, his night's not over. Now, no drivers did get what is a required damage flag. It's a black flag with an orange circle given to the drivers if they have too much damage. In iRacing deems it is too hazardous for you to be out there on track. So all drivers are still in the good, so you can spend as much time as you want in pit road, but with the amount of damage that's been grabbed, some drivers have over that of 5, maybe even 8, potentially 10 minutes of optional damage that they have to work on, which means they're going to be extremely under the pace that they want to be.
Yeah, and for Andrew Medlin, I believe he might have some injury damage based off how hard he hit the 22 there of Stitz. And Sam, I believe Christopher Wade finished right behind Nick Holland in the stage break, so it should negate. I believe he'd still be -1, and right now we just need to finish 2 spots ahead of Nick Holland. With the damage Holland has, this could really affect the 68 and his chances of keeping that 8th position in points.
Yeah, I mean, this is a worst case scenario for a lot of drivers because of the fact, I mean, Ken Campbell, who we thought, because he was involved in that first accident, he is now in a prime position to just point his way in, which is incredible to think. I never thought that was going to be possible, but that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be so hard to call until the end of the race on where we are points-wise, but I mean, this just shook up everything from Nick Holland all the way down to Will Bustler with that incident. I mean, anything's possible now for any of these guys that don't have damage on their race cars.
Oh my, oh my. Well, if you want to see a lot of chaos, well, you just came into the right place because it is getting chaotic up here in the field. A lot of unknowns have now just been thrown out of who knows what's going to happen. I mean, this wreck, what a shakeup that this puts on the field. We now are all of our math, all our calculations, throw it out the window, because there could still be another big wreck that we're waiting on. There are some absolutes. We only know one. Cameron Sargent in 5th place. He won last week. He is for sure going to move on as well. Cole Sacchetti, because of the amount of points that he grabbed, and Rob Sherwood, I believe both of them are also going to be good to move on to the next round, putting us with that of 3 drivers in the good, 5 spots still to be grabbed.
And Sam, I'm looking at the 94 right now of Joshua Altus, and the car doesn't look too bad. A little bit of left side damage on that 94 machine, but I think he came off the best out of everybody in that incident in terms of damage wise. So we'll have to see if that 94 still got the pace in it to get back up through the field. But front row changed up everything. Aaron Hale's now going to lead us back to the green flag with Travis Stark to his outside. Brian Burchett now up to 3rd with Ross Tatum in 4th, and Cameron Sarton and Zach Hall 5th and 6th. I mean, that changed up our top 5, top 6 positions with that wreck.
I mean, we're not even halfway. We are closing up to halfway, and Aaron Hale going to be that lead driver as we are in the restart zone. We're back at it, as it's going to be the Ford machines leading the Ford Lovers 190 as we are back to hard charging moments. And Ryan Burchett, the driver that started to not put a time in the 33, started in last place. Well, he's now up to 2nd and in a great spot for himself to be up front challenging for these drivers. And with the fact that we are seeing these drivers on having another pacing time with that most recent caution, this is going to put everyone in the field in a 1 pit stop strategy from here on out. They can push it all the way out to that lap 63, and they will be good to pit there and take us to the end.
I believe the fuel runs about 35, 36 laps, so you should be pitting. Lap 63 opens the pit window, but I think you'll see everybody come in around lap 69, 70, somewhere in that range, 68, somewhere in that range from that final pit stop. But, you know, if we get a caution somewhere before that, these guys that maybe have that extra set of tires could see some pit strategy play out for those guys, but we'll have to wait and see. As Aaron Hale doing a great job here controlling the field. Bouchette got a good jump on the 6th. He moves up to 2nd. We're on board with that of Travis Start as he tries to follow the 33 machine, trying to find a way around and goes to the top line, see if we can get a better run here through 3 and 4 and make a run on the 33.
And I still cannot get over the fact that everyone that we were just talking about, wow, they're battling for 6th, they're battling for 10th, now are the drivers we're talking about that are leading this race. As Aaron Hale, who scored that of 5th place at our stage break, he is leading the charge. 6th place at the stage break, 33 is there, and everyone else making their runs forward. And here's the one-on-one of Philip Chavez. going to be trying to fight side by side with the damaged and rear end gone of the 15 of Ken Campbell. I mean, he is running, making his charge. Will Bustler, who we talked about in a must-win scenario, well, the 36 is now up to 7th. His hopes for making it to the Elite 8 are not done just yet.
I mean, he's in a great spot, up to 7th. I mean, Bustler has a shot here. Our top contenders, the fastest cars of the night, all with damage, so this puts the 36 in a good spot. Campbell, even with his damage, the 15 machine doesn't look too bad. Maybe a little down the straightaways, but he's doing a great job up here in 9th position. And right behind him, Christopher Wade, he's just got to survive right now. Stay 2 or 3 spots ahead of Nick Holland, and he would be in. So he's just fighting to survive the chaos that might happen in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for Christopher Wade is he's got to make sure that he also is close to Ken Campbell, because Campbell, yes, he did not get those stage points that's needed, but if Campbell finds himself winning this race somehow, I mean, it is possible. Anything could happen here tonight with what we've seen so far. That 53 does need to keep himself close to make sure he does not get caught up in any other situations. It's a 53 trying to get by Philip Chavez the best that they can. And as well, all drivers in line. It's starting to see the wear being shown on these tires, which means when drivers are feeling a little bit too much wear, they fall back. Those that were saving going forward, and these gaggle of cars starting to go side by side as the 5, the 24 side by side, as well as the 53 and the 101 that you see on screen battling with one another.
Yeah, and Wade just stuck here on the bottom, can't quite get the drive off. Up in front of them, Campbell trying to make a run on the 36 of Bustler, and then you have Zach Hall and that of Cameron Sarton battling side by side, and everybody's just kind of stuck right now. Can't get the momentum off the corners, stuck side by side, but great racing between these guys from about 6th all the way back to 10th. Side by side battling, everybody trying to get as much as they can while everybody's still stacked on top of one another.
And this is where Nick Holland finds himself. Was that bubble driver in 8th place, just a 1-point advantage over that of Christopher Wade. With the way that the bonus points were grabbed, technically it is now 2-point advantage to Nick Holland, but with the difference in the damage, that 68 is now in a position to be knocked out of our Elite 8. As you look further on back is where we find Joshua Altus as well as Chris Stitz, all just trying to survive the best that they can. But as these drivers further on back are in survival mode and hoping for carnage, well, if we're going to see it, it could be up front once again as side-by-side action for that 3rd place is now underway, as we're seeing our leader under extreme pressure. Aaron Hale, Travis Dart with that of Brian Burchett. Here comes Ross Tatum, Zach Hall, and Will Bustler, all here ready to strike.
Yeah, our top 6, top 7, basically all on top of one another right now is Bustler trying to find a way around the 6 of Dart. Dart using that outside line, getting a better run off the corner. He's trying to catch up to the 4 of Aaron Hale. Then you got Zach Hall, the man who didn't make a qualifying run. He's made his way up now into the top 5. He's cracked the top 5, trying to find a way around the 6 of Travis Dart. And then you got Ross Tatum running the bottom, trying to also find a way around these 2 guys battling for 2nd. And then Will Bustler, the man who was running 15th, hadn't made any progress. He's now found his way up here with these guys battling for the lead, and he's just trying to figure out which line's going to go in that 36 machine, and everybody gets stacked up off of turn 2.
A little bit of jostling, but here comes the bump drafting on the back stretch for these drivers. It's one of the few times that you can try to give assistance. The drivers in front of you, and Will Bustler feeling like that inside lane is where he wants to be moving that way forward. Ross Tatum in the 11. A driver that's found himself into victory lane, was one of the more dominant drivers in the first half of the season that really propelled him into the playoffs, trying to find a little bit more consistency to go for a championship here this season. The rookie of the 11 certainly has looked strong, as well as the other rookie of Will Bustler. Both drivers that have had plenty of speed. It's been the 11 that's been taking the advantage whenever he is up front. Will Bustler just hasn't found himself in a victory lane yet this season, but I always felt like in that first half of the season he had enough speed to be there for but he just needed to have the right opportunity, and tonight could be that night at a crucial time of the playoffs.
And Bustler's had good speed, been pretty consistent with his top 10 finishes, just had a bad run last week that kind of put him in the hole coming in here to Michigan, putting him in that less-than situation, but showing that 36 still has the speed that he showed early on in the season as he's slowly moving his way up. Zach Hall going for the crossover move as they've both gotten around the 6 there of Travis Dart. Hall now to the inside of the 36 of Bustler through turn number 2, but Will's going to get the better drive off, and Dart actually going to get a really good run off, keep the 5 pinch down. And that's also going to allow the 24 of Cameron Sarton to come to the outside of Zach Hall. So Zach losing 2, maybe 3 positions here, just being stuck on the bottom, can't get that car wound up. And then don't look now, Sam. Here comes the 15. Campbell with the damaged rear end. He's found his way up into this lead battle.
It's incredible to see and incredible to say. Top 10 drivers all within about a second of one another, and they are all still stacking up. The accordion effect, you see at one moment out of the 4, he'll lose his pace and he'll stack everyone up, and then once everyone else has been jostling back and forth, he starts to take off, so you never know where the driver's true speed is at. But we do know one thing, we're about 10 laps away from some drivers might be thinking about taking that early pit stop and try to get an advantage there, or some might try to push out their fuel a little bit further and might think about pitting in the next 15 laps, which those are the times where we could see some mistakes bubble through, or we can see a caution come up right before them. But the drivers know lap 63 is the real center point and the target lap if you can take it to the end.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how the pit strategy is going to go. Anything can happen on pit road. Mistakes, cautions. We saw it Saturday night in the championship race. Zach Hall getting caught out with a caution when he made his pit stop really cost him a chance at a championship on Saturday night. So, I mean, anything's possible here. Get a caution on pit road that could really cost you getting into the next round. As Bustler's now made his way up to third, following the 11 of Ross Tatum, 36, looking really good here as this run progresses. So he's trying to run down the 11 and the 4. But it's all going to be about when those pit stops happen. What's your strategy call going to be? And you cannot afford to make a mistake once you get to that point.
It's always great to see as we're riding on board with the Super 53 of Christopher Wade, hoping that he can find himself being ahead of that of Ken Campbell. And right now he is side by side with that 15 machine. You look at the points, Christopher Wade, where Dick Collin lies and where the 53 are. It would be extremely close, but I believe the advantage would go to the 53, but he wants to gain as many positions as possible, that it's not just a question mark, but an absolute for himself as he's watching all the side-by-side racing ahead of him, and that's exactly what he wants to see. Other drivers use up those tires so we can make the easy pass.
I think right now Wade would be in by about 5 or 6 points, but he's got to worry about the 36 of Bustler potentially getting a win here, so he's got to find a little bit extra speed in that 53 machine, get up there and battle with the 36 of Bustler, the 4 of Aaron Hale and Ross Tatum. But right now, looking good as he's slowly making his way through the field. Got around that of Ken Campbell and the 101 of Philip Chavez. Now setting his sights on the 6 here of Travis Dart. His dart's kind of starting to fall off, maybe a little bit too much tire wear for the 6 machine. And the 33 of Brian Burchett also starting to fall back through the field.
Looking at some of the positionings for drivers as that of the 53, Christopher Wade trying to battle up to move up to 7th place, where Joshua Altus lies in 18th position. That is one of the drivers that's on the chopping block here with him having a poor run at this time. At 94, he has got to be hoping and praying Christopher Wade does not move up to 4th position, because it is a 14-point difference between those two drivers after the stage break and adding up those points on where they're at. So for Altus, he's just lying there in 18th place while the 53 is going forward, and he's got to hope that Christopher Wade has no more extra speed in front of him, and the strategy call isn't there for Wade to steal away a position.
Well, this could get really interesting. I didn't even realize that Altus was that close on the points based off just kind of how he's been running all season long. But you're right, 14 points to the good over the 53. If Bustler can win and Wade finishes 4th and Altus finishes 18th or worse, I mean, we could see 2 drivers get bumped out here tonight, Sam. It's going to make this pit strategy call when we get to green flag pit stops even more interesting on what these drivers are going to decide to do.
No, I want to throw this out at you, Trevor. Being a driver that's ran at this course a couple of times in your career, how would you want to attack a track that you know that tire wear is a big factor, the draft also a big factor, but the tightness level, would you prefer to stay out for an extended time to get that fresh rubber, or do you want to be that driver that takes the undercut and pits sooner?
I'd prefer to stay out a little longer. You can't afford to stay out more than, I think, 2 or 3 laps compared to what the leader, what the guys in front of you are going to do, because they're going to have that 2 to 3, that 1 to 2 second advantage on you on fresh tires. And yeah, you'll make that up toward the end of the run, but you're going to put yourself in a hole that maybe you end up burning your tires up trying to close that gap in, and then you won't have anything left to make a pass when you catch them, if you catch them. So you can't. It's such an interesting game of chess that you have to play on do I stay out 1 lap, 2 laps, 3 laps, And sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. I've been on both ends of that situation. It's just one of those things that you got to make up your mind on what you want to do, and you got to just go with how the cards lie.
Well, two drivers that are taking the extreme undercut right when their window opened. It's going to be that of seeing Cole Sacchetti and Daniel Keith Jr. going to be the first drivers to hit pit road, as the rest of the field now knows that they are inside of the zone to take us to the end. But for those that are looking at the extended run that you can go, we were given the number of about 35 laps these drivers could go, but that's not accounting for that of the caution that came out in the middle of this stint that allowed the drivers to have an extended 2 to 3 laps to work with. It means these drivers looking to be about 10 laps from now when they can come to pit road, which is going to be around that lap 70 that these drivers could potentially push themselves to.
Yeah, lap 70, leave them with about 25 laps left that they have to go, which, based off what we've seen, I mean, cars look like they're a little tight, but it looks like the handling's still fairly decent for these guys. Our top 4 is still stacked on top of one another, but really been able to pull away from each other. So be interesting to see. We know that the fresh tires are going to be about a second and a half faster than what these guys are currently running. So their call here on, do you come in a little before lap 70? Do you push it to lap 70 is going to be really interesting, as Aaron Hale still tries to defend the 11 here of Ross Tatum. Tatum's all over the back end of the 4 machine going into turn number 1.
Still all the pressure up front going to be that of our top, crazy thing, our top, that of 7 still on top of one another. You can see the dissipation of drivers that just wore out their tires a little bit too much. We're not able to keep with that lead group, but over the radio, starting to hear a lot more drivers thinking about pit road this lap or the next. So here we go, pit road about to get very busy in just a few moments.
And this is going to be where you make those decisions. Like if somebody comes in the bottom half of the top 10, well, if Travis starts in, John Dart's in. So this is going to start that cycle of pit stops for our leaders. So now the question is, how late do these guys want to stay out? And you come in and cover off the 6 and the 13. I believe the 30 of Jewel is also pit. So when do you decide to come in and cover these guys off, or do you stay out and play the long game to have the fresher tires on the Enos Bustler, tried to make a move on the 11 of Ross Tatum? Tatum now going to go for the crossover on the 4 of Aaron Hale. It's going to be a battle for the lead down into turn number 3. The 11 with a great run down the backstretch. He's going to drive it to the inside, not quite clear of the 4. We'll see if Hale can get the run off at turn number 4. Looks like he's not going to be able to, and that's going to allow Bustler now to his inside.
Will Bustler, the must-win driver coming into the night based on how he was going to perform at our stage break, got no stage points for the 36. We ride on board with himself. The giant wreck that happened at lap 40, wiping out all of our top contenders, has now given birth to a driver that we thought might have been outside with no chance, running back in 15th earlier on in this race with no looks of having the fastest car to go for a win. Well, now rides in second place as we're coming up to pit stops. Trevor, the miracle could still happen for Will Bustler.
It could very well happen. He looks like he's got the speed, hasn't allowed the 11 to get away, was actually battling with him. Has a really good run here down the front straightaway. We'll see if he decides to take it to the inside into turn number 1. He thinks better of it. He's going to fall back in line behind that of Ross Tatum. Had the opportunity to take it to the inside, decided not to, as we see Ken Campbell coming off pit road. The 15's made his final pit stop. Chavez is down pit road. But Bustler applying the pressure to Ross Tatum, showing that he's got the speed to potentially get his win, get his way into the Elite 8. That 36 machine looking really good late in the run.
And going to be some of our front runners coming into pit road as here comes that Cole Sacchetti. Fresh rubber on the inside as we ride on board with Will Bustler. They're going to be seeing this absolute speed difference of a driver with fresh rubber compared to others, but the draft just too strong for that Cole Sacchetti to really fly by on the straightaways. But here he goes through the corners. Going to be on the inside as that of Brian Burchett now hits pit road of one of the drivers up in our top 7. And here comes that traffic. Fresh rubber. This is when drivers that might have been thinking about pit road could be stopped from going to the inside lane. There's going to be a lot of clear communication happening now. Otherwise, we could see another giant wreck of drivers trying to get into pit road.
Yeah, we've seen it in the past. Just lap traffic causing chaos for our leaders in the 13 here. Travis Start out about taking it 3 wide. The 15 of Ken Campbell takes advantage of the hesitation from the 13, dives it 3 wide. He's going to clear our leaders. Dart now stuck there as Bustler battles with Ross Tatum for the lead. They're going to be 3 wide going down into 1. It's not what our leaders wanted to see. These guys on fresh tires taking it 3 wide, but John Dart thinks better of the situation, backs out of it. This allows Will Bustler to really drive it in there. He's going to slide up in front of the 11 of Ross Tatum.
Will Bustler got a little bit loose. He got a little loose. He was a little kinked out there on the exit. I thought Will Bustler was about to lose it. Holds on. John Dart playing the very patient approach. I think for these lead lap drivers, they just want to see that 13 go as hard and as fast as he can to get through the field. But he is just now finally clearing. And here comes Daniel Keith Jr., who has had a lot of woes this season. He's hoping to have a clean pass through our lead drivers. And once again, I was talking about these drivers have a limit. They can only stay out until lap 71 or coming to lap 71. They've got to be worried about.
The pit stop's got to be coming close for our leaders. The Bustler with a great move, pulling away a little bit from that of Ross Tatum and Aaron Hale. That 36 machine on these old tires, a lot of speed. A little loose, though, but loose is fast here. And as long as he's not out of control, he's not wrecking. Looks like the 11 of Ross Tatum might be coming to pit road this time by, but huge shout out to the 13 of John Dart. Was really patient with our leaders, let them race and get that done before he made his move. As now you see the 23 of Daniel Keith Jr. go by that of Will Bustler, but it looks like Ross Tatum's in pit road, Christopher Wade in pit road. And so now, Sam, I think we'll see the 36, the 4, the 24, and the 5 all come down pit road here in the next lap or two.
Still have 6 drivers needing to hit pit road to take themselves to the end of this race. Will Bustler, Aaron Hill, Cameron Sarton, Zach Hall, Ryan Lynch, Nick Holland are those drivers still needing to come into pit road. For some, banking on a yellow flag to come out, but it's either this lap or the next. Will Bustler still not over the radio to say if he's coming into pit road, but he's slowing down to take that back. It's going to be that of seeing drivers going on by, but he's now going to go down. Here comes Will Bustler into pit road as he's got to make sure he does not come in speeding, trying to hit his marks, and he does a fabulous job getting down to that speed limit of 55 miles per hour, and now is the long wait to get into his box.
Did a really good job there. Was a little easy coming into pit road, but rather be easy than be aggressive and get a speeding penalty. Does a really good job getting into his box. Now going to get that 4 tire service and get back out there. And when you get back out on track, it's all about getting back up to speed as quick as possible. So he's going to have to be aggressive here on pit exit to maximize pit road time. But good job, good pit stop so far for the 36 machine.
As other drivers going to be all over the place on this lead pack. Zach Hall, Cameron Sarton, Aaron Hale all trying to figure out how to get into pit road as Will Bustler gets back out on track and going to be staying down below. The miracle run by the 36. Can he make this work? But Trevor, the thing I noted on before this pit cycle started, when do you come into pit road and is too early gonna hurt these drivers, or could be the drivers that waited too long, as we've had some drivers that pitted 11 laps ago, some pitted 7 laps ago, and leading those that have already come into pit road, it's the 15 of Ken Campbell, damaged, wrecked, but right now gonna be having himself over that of Ross Tatum, who's really his true worrisome driver, gonna be having over that of a 3-second gap lead from the 15 back to the 11 as Zach Hall, Cameron Sarton hit pit road.
Yeah, really aggressive pit entry from both those drivers. You see a lock up there from the 24 of Sarton and Zach Hall a little sideways on his pit entry. Not sure if they got...
Oh, 24 got a black flag.
And there's the penalty for the 24 of Cameron Sarton. Too fast pit road, but thankfully for Cameron Sarton's got that win from last week already locked into the Elite 8, so 24 doesn't have to worry about it, but just it's that mistake that you can't have on pit road that we've been talking about. And right there, the 24 with that little bit of mistake is going to cost him any chance that he had of going back-to-back this week. But right now, Campbell leads the drivers on the fresh tires over that of Cole Sacchetti, Ross Tatum, John Dart, Brian Burchett. Will Bustler is going to cycle out, I believe, the 4th car on the freshest tires as he's now ahead of Christopher Wade in the 53 machine. And now he's got to try to run down that of Ken Campbell, Cole Sacchetti, Ross Tatum, John Dart, and Brian Burchett and get around all those drivers to get himself back up into the lead and potentially win his way into the Elite 8.
Will Bustler, Ross Tatum, those are going to be the 2 drivers on pretty similar tire strategies for themselves. And the gap between them is about 2 seconds. And then it's about a 2-second gap between Ken Campbell and Ross Tatum. That's a 5-lap difference. Ross Tatum having the advantage there as we're waiting on 2 drivers to hit pit road. That's Ryan Lynch, Nick Holland. But we are going to step away. When we come back, it's going to be less than 20 to go here at Michigan for the Full Send Racing Series. This is the cutoff race of the round of 12 to see who's going to make the Elite 8 for that of the Ford Lovers 190 here tonight. Right now, still winning on that of Ryan Lynch. Nick Holland hit pit road, but so many storylines. Who's in? Who's out? We'll bring it all to you when we come back as we go side by side with a commercial break. Start your engines!
4, 3, 2, 1, green screen. No right grip whatsoever, up sideways. Sideways everywhere. Come on, man, do what you can. The vibration in this car is the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
Following the wrecking, they're splitting, and it's a complete mayhem.
We have a wreck at the front. 19 goes down into the 7, takes out the 00.
They're 5 wide behind for fifth. Oh my, the 5 wide here. This ain't gonna work, is it? They're already wrecking into turn 1, and now coming through that of turn 2. This is it, the Daytona. Oh no, the wrecking contact. Sets gets into the wall. Gonna be scattering on the outside. Drivers on the apron. Drivers coming out of nowhere. Edison on the outside trying to get the win. And it's William Edison stealing it at the line.
Into the wall. The 18 trying to block. 77 get into the 18. That leaves 3 of TJ Roberts. 17 to Gavin Rogers. 3 of TJ Roberts is gonna steal the win here.
He went second fiddle so many times last season. Christopher Wade wins the season 5 Daytona 200. Welcome to the last dash. Who is going to be making it to the Elite 8 after tonight? We had the start of the playoffs for the Full Send Racing Series last week at New Hampshire, but these rounds come quick and they end heartbreakingly. It's just 2 races for each round. We had New Hampshire and here tonight at Michigan for that of the Ford Lovers 190. We've had a lot of highs, major lows, and right now we are in that of the 16-lap dash to the end. Everyone has made their final pit stop except for that of Ryan Lynch. Nick Holland is just coming to pit road, but the driver that we're looking at, Ross Tatum, can he hold off Will Bustler? That's just a little bit under a second and a half back. Or could we see Bustler come back, the miracle run, the 36 in a must-win scenario if he's going to move on to the Elite 8? But they've got to be careful because another driver who's got fresh rubber racing for nothing but for the win, Zach Hall, being only that of 3 seconds back, making less than that as he's got some of the freshest tires out there.
As Zach Hall could really play spoiler to the Cinderella story that would be Will Bustler getting the win and getting in here tonight as that 5 machine is flying already to the back bumper of Christopher Wade in the 53. Wade just doing what he needs to do to stay up there in front of the 68 of Nick Holland to make sure that he is into the Elite 8. But Will Bustler trying to track down that of Ross Tatum as now Ryan Lynch has made his final pit stop. So Tatum now the leader, moves Will Bustler up to second. Zach Hall now up to third as he's cleared the 53. So now nobody between the 5 and the 36 of Bustler. But Bustler was about a second and a half behind that of our leader, Ross Tatum. All of about 3 laps ago, now down to 1.2 seconds. The 36 machine slowly reeling in the 11 of Ross Tatum.
As the numbers to watch out, Christopher Wade, old tires, he falls back. As you can see, he's just losing ground, but this is where the massive surge is coming from. Zach Hall, who did not qualify, started all the way back in 20th position. It's been a learning aspect for the 5 machine on cutting through this field, but Will Bustler finding a friend, going to be working with that of Cameron Sarton, hoping the 24 can try to pull this 36 to that of Ross Tatum. But Zach Hall has now gotten a little brief touch of the draft. The 5 machine is on the charge now, trying to, again, play spoiler as these drivers all trying to catch up to Ross Tatum, who's still a second ahead of these 2 drivers.
Second ahead, but Bustler cut it to 2/10. The only issue is the 5 of Zach Hall behind him, 4/10 quicker that last lap than Will Bustler and Ross Tatum were. So that 5 machine, he's got 2 laps pressure tires than that of Will Bustler, 3 lap pressure tires than that of Ross Tatum. And right now Zach Hall is flying, but the question is he using up too much of that tire to where when he catches these guys, his tire going to be equaled out? And the same thing for Will Bustler is his tire is going to equal out by the time he catches the 11 of Ross Tatum.
That last lap, it was massive. It was 3/10 for that of Will Bustler. He wasn't gaining much with the draft help from the 24 Cameron Sarton. Sarton wasn't much, but now the 24 giving the draft assistance, but now he can help even more by trying to make the pass on the 11 that's going to slow Ross even more down. It's closing in as we're coming up to 10 laps to go here. Trevor, Zach Hall, Will Bustler, Ross Tatum. Tatum already practically locked in based off of points to move on to the next round. Will Bustler in a must-win scenario to move on to the round of 8. And Zach Hall, part-timer, trying to become a stealer of dreams here tonight.
The question is, when Zach Hall catches that of the 36 of Bustler and Ross Tatum, is he going to realize the importance of that battle and just decide to fall in line and follow, or is he going to go for that upset win? Being the part-timer, just here for as many wins as he can get. We've seen him dominate Indy and a couple of other races that he's run here. Is that 5 machine is flying, but they're both catching the 11 of Tatum. Tatum's going to have pressure from the 24 of Cameron Sarton after his pit road mistake trying to unlap himself, and that's going to slow the 11 down and bring the 36 and the 5 closer to him. We're going to have a 3-way fight for the lead before this race is over.
In that last lap, Zach Hall able to close in, just 1/10. Will Bustler closing in on the gap, but will the 24, does he just stay in line with that of Ross Tatum, or does he get underneath the 11 and push him up and help out Will Bustler? Bustler trying again, the Cinderella story. He is doing everything in his power. He has not won this season. Will Bustler's had so many opportunities earlier on to go for a win, but it always was a heartbreaking finish. Either got caught up in a wreck or just didn't have the tires at the end. But Zach Hall is now right on the back bumper of the 36 as Ross Tatum finally being pressured. Cameron Sarton says, I see this battle, I see what's going on, and backs out of it. He doesn't pressure the 11 anymore.
And that's going to help Ross Tatum so much. Doesn't have to worry about the 24 trying to pass him. And now Bustler got to worry about the 5 of Zach Hall as Zach is now right there. Nobody between him. He's got the draft help. He's closed up. And the gap between Tatum and Bustler kind of equalized at about 0.6 of a second. And that last lap, Tatum a little bit faster than Bustler, but Zach Hall faster than both the leaders by about 0.2. So the 5 machine has the pace, but running out of laps here, coming 9 laps to go when we cross the line as Bustler gets a little loose out of turn 4, and that's going to hurt his momentum. And here comes Zach Hall to the inside.
The inside, the 5 says, I'm going to go for the win. Thought was going to assist you, but you're losing time now, and I want to win this race. If you're not going to go for it, I will myself, as the 5 makes the pass cleanly, practically being the reaper to the 36's hopes for racing for a championship and nailing the head on that casket for Will Bustler, as Zach Hall now wants to get himself another win this season, and now all eyes have to be put on that of Christopher Wade as well as Nick Holland. They are now in the battle of who's going to point their way in, and based on where the drivers are running, Christopher Wade is going to find himself pushing the 68 out.
Yeah, where they run right now, Wade just has to finish, I believe, 4 spots ahead of Nick Holland. And right now running in 4th, so the 53 machine looking really good with the damage that Nick Holland received with the massive wreck at the front of the field early on in this race. But right now, up front, Zach Hall trying to run down Ross Tatum, Will Bustle trying to use that draft help to close in, but running out of laps, coming to 7 to go this time by, and the speed difference not that much quicker that last lap for Zach Hall, only about a 10th quicker than that of Ross Tatum as those tires start to equalize for the 5 machine.
But he did make the pass by Will Bustler and could be the towing factor. I mean, could Zach be the assistance? I could have been calling that a little bit too soon. Could he be the guardian angel of this 36 machine as Zach, this next time by, still slightly gaining by another 10. If we continue at this route, he will be on the back bumper coming to the white flag as Ross Tatum, he's trying to just hold on to get himself another win and have those playoff bonus points to carry into the round of 8.
Yeah, he had those extra points to help him into the next round, but right now Zach Hall tracking him down. Will Bustler falling a little bit back in that 36 machine. Had the draft help that last lap, but starting to lose touch with the 5. But what he needs now is for Zach Hall to catch Ross Tatum the next lap or 2. Those two get to battling hard, and that'll bring that 36 back up to these guys. But he's running out of laps, and dreams that window is closing in.
Zach Hall still faster by 1/10. He just continues to chip away at that lead. And at one moment, the gap was 4 seconds when Zach Hall got back out on track after serving his pit stop, while Ross Tatum was at full song and already made his stop. It is a total of a 3-lap difference between the 11 and the 5. The 5 with the fresher tires, 6 laps to go, coming to 5, and it is almost less than 4/10 now coming out of turn number 4. Make it 5 to go. And for the 5 machine, he's hoping that it's going to be a good old fruit salad celebration at the end of the day as he's trying to get another win.
5 to go this time by. Zach dives it down into turn number 1. He's got that draft now off the 11 machine. They're following the same tire tracks as that of Ross Tatum, closing the gap down to 0.4 of a second. See if he can get a tow down the backstretch. Bustler now a 1.5 or 1.2 seconds back from our 2 leaders and coming under pressure from the 24 of Cameron Sarton. But I think Sarton's just going to ride behind, let this play out the way it is. And Zach now 0.3 of a second. He's closed in another 10th as we come to 4 to go.
4 to go. Just the gap is being closed in, but like always, Trevor, 4 to go. It's much easier to close up onto someone, but how do you pass them as Chris Stitt's going to be staying up high? The driver that at one moment earlier in the race was dominating now just has to watch those that are heading towards victory lane. How will this duel end out as the draft help and the pass advantage to the 5? But Trevor, the pass, how does the 5 do it, especially on these older tires the drivers are dealing with?
That's going to be what we're going to have to wait and find out. Catching him's one thing, saying passing him's another, the old racing adage. And for Will Bustler, I think he's going to be too far back if these two get to battling to really have anything to say about it unless they make contact and get together. But Zach is there, down to about 0.2 now. He's going to be there by the end of this lap, and that battle is going to heat up. And the question is, how do you get around him? Do you take it to the bottom? Do you try to get the run off the top line? What's going to happen here is that gap continues to shrink out of turn number 2.
3 laps to go. Ross Tatum, Zach Hall, who is going to win this duel between a driver that it feels locked into the next round, doesn't have to have any real true pressure based on the amount of points that were grabbed here this evening. But Zach Hall, a non-playoff contender, could steal away. Try to help the 36 out late. No longer going to be able to help him out. It is all now. Could Zach steal a win and steal some bonus points for this 11 that wants to have as many bonus points heading into the next round? It's not an easy one. Homestead and Richmond are next 2 destinations as we've got 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go, and the gap about still equal, about 0.2 of a second. Zach's found that kind of bubble, that dirty air bubble that all the drivers usually talk about. Hasn't been able to close in that gap anymore on Ross Tatum. Going to have to find a different groove in that 5 machine to really close it in any ground. Make any head roads. Ross is going to dive it down almost to the yellow line. Zach's going to run about a half a groove higher, see if he can get a little bit cleaner air, get a better run off the corner. He gets a great run through the turn 3, a little bit better of a run through turn 4, but not quite close enough to be anywhere close to getting to the bumper of the 11 as they cross start-finish line last lap.
Freaky fast white flag is in the air. Ross Tatum, Zach Hall, they are right on top of one another. Who is going to get the win here in Michigan? Zach going to have to run a little bit higher line. He's trying to go with the early apex, dives it down low. He is right on the bumper now, Trevor.
Down the backstretch, Zach Hall's going to look to the inside, go back to the outside on the 11 of Ross Tatum, force Tatum to go to the inside. Zach's going to try to get that run on the high side as they enter turn number 3. Almost side by side, didn't quite get to the quarter panel. Is he going to get the drive off the corner to the start-finish line? We'll have to wait and see as Tatum drifts up a little bit out of turn number 4.
Too high, but here comes the late draft, the push, but it's not enough. Ross Tatum holds on and wins here at Michigan.
Holds on and wins, holds off the 5 of Zach Hall. The Cinderella story of Will Bustler just comes up 2 positions short. Looked good for the 36, but just couldn't hold on to the tires to keep up with the 11 and the 5. But a heck of an effort from Will Bustler. Christopher Wade does what he needs to do. I believe that's going to get him in over that of Nick Holland. Holland put up a couple of spots toward the end of that run, finishes 13th, but I think the points difference between the 53 and the 68 is going to see the 53 of Wade make it into the Elite 8, and that's going to bump Nick Holland out.
And for that of Joshua Altus, with him pitting so early, he had built up a big enough gap that he will just hold on over Christopher Wade. And you also got to give huge kudos to Ken Campbell. Heavy damage. He tried his best there late to try to steal a position there, but just was not enough. Christopher Wade should be that last driver come in. Rob Sherwood's got to be thankful that he had enough points after last week's run, because with all of his internet woes, he also should be the next driver moving on. We'll confirm who's in, who's out. We do know 2 things. Cameron Sarn is locked in the next round. We also know now Ross Tatum is locked in. Congratulations on your wins this round, as we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's the post-race show. We talk to the top 3 and get our thoughts moving forward. Welcome, everybody, to the post-race show on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Full Send Racing Series. As tonight, we've got our top 3. We're going to start things off with third-place finisher Will Bustler to get his thoughts on tonight's race here for that of the Ford Lovers 190. Will, it's Sam and Trevor up in the booth. Congratulations on third place. I know that wasn't the position you needed to be in to move forward, but man, how are you feeling after tonight's performance?
Oh, that was fun. That's probably the most fun I've had so far this season. So it was awesome running up there with Ross and Wade. glad we were able to, get a strong team effort there.
Well, I mean, it's been a kind of a roller coaster season for you. You had speed there before that final pit stop. I mean, was there anything else you could have done on that final pit stop to get back up there to Ross and have a chance to win and advance to the next round?
I don't know. I mean, we were talking since we're teammates, and he just got a heck of a head start on me getting off pit road. I think he pit a lap before me. So he just had, a perfect pit stop. He just gapped me just enough, and I pushed and pushed as hard as I could to get back up to him. But he was able to just kind of save enough where he was able to just pull away when he needed to pull out the win.
Well, Will, we still have 3 more races to go this season. Know that going for a championship isn't there, but how are you feeling for the end of the season on trying to make this final push with Homestead, Richmond, and Las Vegas being our final 3 destinations?
I'm generally strong at all those tracks, so I'm looking forward to maybe speaking with you guys a couple more times before the season's over. Richmond's my home track, and in Vegas I generally run really well at. So I'm pretty confident. I want to definitely end on a good note going into next season. So overall, it's been fun. Definitely have had quite a few down moments this season, but I have nothing but great things to say about these guys that run in the league. So it's been awesome.
Well, Will, we hope to talk to you more throughout the season, but since you're here, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Thanks, guys. I just want to thank everybody, watching. We appreciate it. Thanks to Freaky for Fast Broadcasting. You guys do a heck of a job. One of the best out there. Thank my teammates, Ross, Wade. Again, they had heck of a run. Want to thank the sponsors for the league. Let me just it's MCI Graphics. So thanks for putting that on. But yeah.
That is going to be the 36 machine of Will Bustler. Congratulations on a 3rd place finish, and good luck heading to Homestead next week.
Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
As we go from 3rd place, we had a 2nd place, or we got a person we usually hear from here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting all the time. We got former broadcaster, now on track racer. We got that as Zach Hall with us. Zach, congratulations on a 2nd place finish. Man, you made the late charge. How are you feeling after that run at the end?
That was fun. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect coming into tonight, so I was kind of learning as the race went on, and yeah, I kind of wish I would have did a little bit differently there at the end. I got closer than I thought in that last lap, and probably shouldn't have tried to go to the outside there. I was trying to get to the quarter panel because you get on someone's quarter panel here, it just makes them so tight. So I figured that might have been my shot, but I think if I'd have just kept it on his back bumper, not touched him, but just made him kind of have to drive it in deep and miss the seam, because we were talking about there's a seam down there in 3 and 4 that if you don't hit it right, the car just did not turn tonight. So that was probably my best shot if I did that, but man, that was still really fun. I wasn't really sure after the pit stops where I was going to be a roundabout with all the guys pitting different laps, but it seemed to work out pretty well.
I mean, Zach, your biggest mover of the night decided not to qualify, moved up 18 spots. I mean, you made it look easy out there passing guys, but I mean, what was it like getting around drivers out there? We know Michigan can kind of be, it's really draft dependent. Kind of can be hard to pass at times. I mean, was the dirty era factor out there tonight?
Yeah, it was very, very tough to pass. I started out back just because I wanted to fill it out. I didn't get like more than probably like 10 or 15 practice laps. So I was like, I don't really want to be up in the mix with those guys racing hard right at the beginning. So I kind of decided to start out back and work my way into the race. But yeah, I mean, it was so tough to pass. If you didn't get to the outside of somebody, it was almost impossible. I mean, especially with the way, like when you come off these corners here, with it being like a train, you go up to the outside groove, you just get the draft all the way down the straightaway. It wasn't super powerful of a draft, but it was enough to help where, you really couldn't make that pass on the bottom. So it was very, very tough to pass. Dirty air was also pretty tough, especially as I got closer to Ross there. I mean, his car definitely tightened up a lot, but you were fighting mostly a tight, loose condition. So it was pushing the nose, and then all of a sudden the rear end was snapping out. So it was all over the place, but man, what a fun race. These guys out here are always a blast to race with.
Well, Zach, we know you've been a part-timer this season. We've seen you come and go at a few of these races, but we got 3 more left to happen. Are you planning on showing up for these next 3 races? And if you are, which one are you most excited for?
Yeah, I'm definitely planning on showing up the next 3. I need to pay attention more. I didn't notice they actually reset the whole the guys after 13th back for points, and I noticed that this week. I was like, oh man, I can actually go race for 13th. So I'm planning on being here the rest of the races because I'm gonna do full time here next season. So yeah, I want to get as much momentum built up, learn these guys as much as possible. So when I come back in next season, I can know how each of them race. But definitely for the next 3 races, all 3 of them I really like personally. But I think next week at Homestead, I'm super excited for that track just because I feel like it's just one of the best racetracks out there, and especially with this car kind of paired up with it, I really am looking forward to that. And then Las Vegas also, Las Vegas is one of my favorite tracks too. So I really can't wait for those. And in Richmond, right in the middle, that'll be a perfect little break from the 1.5 mile action. So I can't wait personally.
And we're excited to see what you're going to bring in the rest of the field as well at these amazing tracks. So we're heading to congratulations on second, Zach. And now the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, first off, shout out you guys up in the booth. Always a pleasure to go back and watch the races that y'all broadcast, that I race in, and also the races that I get to call with you guys. So really appreciate Freaky Fast. I mean, I got it on the car always here repping the best broadcasts out there. So, and then also last but not least, shout out to the league here at Full Send, man. What a great league. If you're looking to race with these guys, man, make sure you sign up because that next season is going to be super, super fun. And I can't wait to be back out there racing it up with them.
That is going to be second place finisher Zach Hall in the 5 machine. Juicy Fruit almost got himself another win, but he'll have to try again next week at Homestead. Good luck there, Zach, and have a great rest of your night.
Thanks, guys.
To go from second place, we head to victory lane. Ross Tatum had to hold off the rest of the field. Had a couple of contenders show up, but none of them could make the pass. We got the 11 with us. Ross, congratulations on this win. And you are now officially, based on the amount of points that you had carrying in, you looked pretty solidified on making it to the Elite 8. But with this win, you are officially moving on. How are you feeling after this one?
I feel pretty good. I had no expectations coming into tonight. I didn't even practice. I ran about 15 laps before the race. So came in with no expectations, came out with a win. Can't ask for any more than that. Really fun race tonight, just by everyone. Just a great race between Will and Zach there at the end. Just a lot of fun.
Ross, you got the win here tonight. Carry the momentum next week at Homestead. One of the more racy tracks, the multi-groove track at Homestead that we go to next week. How are you feeling about going into the next round, especially after getting the win here tonight?
I really enjoy racing at Homestead if the car will turn. So hopefully we have a little bit of a looser setup next week so we can run multiple grooves. Past couple of races I've ran there have been kind of tight sets, so everybody's kind of stuck in one lane. So hopefully we'll get the looser setup next week and have a good race. I think it could be a really fun race to watch and race in for sure.
Well, Ross, let's head back. A little bit before halfway, we had the giant wreck of a lot of the drivers up front. What was that your mindset when you saw the whole entire front half of the field just wipe each other out?
Well, it was pretty entertaining at first, and then once I saw all the people who had damage, I was pretty happy because there was a lot of fast people up there. I think it was like 5 or 6 of the fastest drivers here tonight were all in that wreck. So paid off for me, paid off for Will and Chris and all these guys. So I guess it's just got to be patient, and sometimes when you're patient, things work out for you.
Certainly does. Well, Ross, again, congratulations on the win, and now the floor is yours for any shout outs that you have for yourself.
Appreciate it, guys. I got to thank Coca-Cola, obviously, for paying my bills. I got to thank Will for painting these awesome paint schemes. Everybody should hit up Will. He does a really good job. He really likes to paint different stuff up for people. I got to thank Chris, Wade, and Will for being my teammates and kind of shooting strategies off of each other. So that was a lot of fun. Got to thank Full Send for putting on this awesome league. It's just been a lot of fun this season. We only got 3 more to go. Or 4 or 3. I don't know. I don't remember. I got to thank Freaky Fast for everything you guys do. You guys are the best broadcasting group out there. I hope everyone hits you guys up. Sam, awesome job on your video. I hope everyone watching goes and watches that out. That was a lot of fun just watching a different league, people's different mindsets through iRacing. So that was a great job by you. Everyone should check that out. And just everyone watching, I appreciate it. Oh, and Berserker Industries for sponsoring the race. Gotta shout them out too. Just thanks for everyone watching.
Well, that is going to be the 11 machine of Ross Tatum. Congratulations on this win and good luck heading into that round of 8.
Thanks, guys.
which we head from Victory Lane to look at those unofficial results of the night. And that video that Ross was talking about, that is the ISRC long run. That is the documentary type style video that we have here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, giving you the behind the scenes setup and what's going on with the playoffs of the ISRC Truck Series on Monday night. Episode 2 came out just that a couple of days ago, and you go check out episode 2 and 1 currently right now. As for our unofficial results here tonight, a lot of heartbreak on where drivers are finishing, but a lot of excitement for where others, with Ross Tatum going to be taking that lead position, as well as Zach Hall in second. Will Bustler almost having the Cinderella moment here late, but coming away with third. That of Christopher Wade going to finish in fourth, with Aaron Hale fifth. Sixth goes to that of Brian Burchett. Ken Campbell gets seventh. John Dart eighth. 9, that of Philip Chavez. Great run for that 101. And that of Cole Sacchetti, recovering after the major incidences, comes away 10th. And Trevor, I think that's really what is the catalyst for a lot of these finishes. That wreck at lap 40 really did shake everything up.
Yeah, I mean, the crash going into turn number 1, lap 40 with Altus, and that of Chris Stitz really was the catalyst to what was a really exciting finish to the race between Bustler, Zach Hall, and Ross Tatum. But I mean, you got to give a huge shout out to Ken Campbell there in 7th after his contact with Cole Sacchetti that brought out the first caution. We thought the 15 was going to be done for the race with how much rear end damage he got, but comes back and gets a solid top 10 finish along with Cole Sacchetti. I mean, involved in that wreck with Ken Campbell, and then involved in that lap 40 wreck with all our leaders, comes back for a top 10. But then you got to go back down there. I mean, Nick Holland came in 1 point to the good, and the heartbreak the 68 has to feel after getting caught up in that wreck. Joshua Altus down there in 14th. I mean, was probably the fastest, if not the second fastest car in the early part of the race. Down in 14th, Chris Stitz down there, along with Andrew Medlin, 20th and 21st. I mean, those two showed great speed. But I mean, that it's playoff racing. I mean, the aggression level goes up. Incidents happened, and unfortunately took out four or five of the fastest cars that we had tonight.
This is the incident we're seeing the replay of on screen in slow-mo of Chris Stitz, Joshua Altus getting the contact, and one driver advancing because of this wreck. The others are out, and here are the 8 drivers as we look at the replay of the incident that changed up and shook up how tonight's race ended. It is Ross Tatum with the win here tonight. He is moving on to the Elite 8. Cameron Sarton's win from last week moves on to the Elite 8. Based off of points, Cole Sacchetti, as well as Chris Stitz, Aaron Hale, that of Rob Sherwood, Joshua Altus, all move on. Well, kick out Nick Holland as he got caught up late in this incident, got too much damage, wasn't able to race in the position that he needed to, and got bounced out by Christopher Wade in the 53. Adding on to the drivers that are eliminated and will not be running for a championship. Also, other drivers that were involved with other wrecks, that of Ken Campbell and Andrew Medlin. Medlin had such a fast car, thought he could have had a chance to be that driver that made it into the Elite 8. Will not be the case. And the driver that we were calling the Cinderella story here late, Will Bustler, also will not move on. Well, Trevor, tonight's race is done, but the floor is now yours for any of your final thoughts before we get out of here.
I mean, the first round brought us 2 great races. The excitement level here for the elimination race was just great. The intensity was there all night long. We're down to 8 drivers, and I think it's just going to keep ramping up as we get closer to the final 4. And Homestead, it can go one of 2 ways. Like Ross said, it can be a one groove racetrack, or we can see multi-groove racing. So I'm excited to see what we get at Homestead next week. See what our Elite 8 drivers are going to do for us, what chaos and carnage might occur there. And at Richmond, we go from the 1.5 miles of Homestead to then Richmond for the cutoff race, and go from the 1.5 miles to a short track. And man, I am looking forward to the next 2 rounds.
These next couple of races, this round of 8 is going to be good. And after those 2 races, that sets the stage for our final 4 that will race at Las Vegas in just that of 2 weeks. Can't wait for it. But for here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we got one more race this week. It's tomorrow night, the championship race. Who is winning the inaugural season of the Wicked Racing League as they head to Charlotte? They got 4 drivers, all have been fast, but who can take the crown. Can't wait to see it as that of Carl Pooler, as well as Zach Hall will be giving you the call then. And as well, we'll then have quite a long break, but then we're right back to racing on Monday night for the ISRC Truck Series. If you want to check out how the behind the scenes of the drivers have been, go check out the videos of episode 1 and 2 of the ISRC long run to see how those drivers are feeling. As for us here tonight, thank you for joining us. More racing action next week. Again, ISRC, and here we are proud to give you the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Trevor Earhart, for Robert Moyer, and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. More playoff racing for the Full Send Racing Series.